leaves and chirping birds around you when suddenly a strange noise draws your attention. Would you follow it? For one man, curiosity led to an encounter so extraordinary it left even experts stunned. Stay with us as we unravel this incredible tale of a mysterious creature, a shocking revelation, and a twist that no one saw coming. Let's begin. Man thought he found a puppy in the forest. The vet turns pale when he realizes what it really is. Peter was walking through a wooded area when he suddenly heard a strange sound coming from the bushes that caught his attention. He decided to take a look, and to his surprise, saw a strange creature. When he looked closer, he thought it was a puppy, but he wasn't sure. He decided to take it to the vet. Upon arrival, the vet immediately said, "Where did you get that from? You're not supposed to see that at all." Peter and his wife, Bianca, were completely caught off guard by the vet's reaction. They had expected that he might have been surprised by the appearance of the creature, but this outburst felt way out of line. However, the vet had a very good reason, because unlike Peter, Bianca, or anyone they had spoken to so far, the vet actually knew what animal they were dealing with. It was most definitely not a puppy, and not something that Peter should have ever gotten his hands on. When the vet finally told the couple the truth, they could not believe how foolish they had been. They had made a big mistake taking this creature home. It was a sound that Peter was not at all familiar with. He had walked in these woods many times as a child and an adult, but he had never heard anything like this before. He could not help but feel that it piqued his curiosity. He needed to find the source, but in hindsight, he wished he had just kept walking that fateful day. The sound led Peter off the forest path and into a couple of bushes. Having no idea what he was dealing with, Peter knew that he had to act carefully. But when he pushed some of the bushes aside and found the creature producing this strange sound, he was quickly at ease. This animal looked anything but dangerous. The more he looked at it, the less he could make sense of what it actually was. It was clearly a young animal, but Peter was not sure what kind exactly. All he could speculate was that it looked most like a strange puppy, but he would turn out to be very wrong with this assessment. Despite not knowing what animal this was exactly, he did understand why it was making this sound. The creature was much too young to survive here without its mother, and seeing how thin it had become, Peter suspected that its mother had not been here in a while. Seeing the state that this poor animal was in, the decision was not a hard one to make. Peter had a small bag with him in which the puppy fit perfectly, but the animal did not stop making its crying sounds. It was obviously stressed. It was about an hour walking back to the city, and this gave Peter enough time to figure out what he wanted to do next. He could not go to the vet as it was not open on the weekend except for emergencies, which would cost a lot more money. Luckily, Peter was confident in his own ability to take care of a puppy. They had a dog at home, and when he still lived with his parents, their dog had delivered a litter of puppies that he was more than willing to help with. If only he knew what animal he was really dealing with. The most important thing he needed for this animal was puppy milk. While he did not have a dog that could provide that, his own dog was male, he knew that you could buy adequate substitutes at the pet store. So, on his way home, he went buy one. He still had the strange-looking puppy with him, though, and it was drawing a lot of attention in the store. People had not seen any creature that looked like this before, and naturally Peter started to get questions about it. His answers left most people unsatisfied. The fact that he had just taken this creature out of the forest rubbed some people the wrong way. While Peter believed that he was saving a puppy, many thought it was not a puppy at all. However, they could not tell him what he was actually dealing with. There are many creatures living in the forest, and most people have no idea how their babies look. It could easily have belonged in the forest, and Peter was interfering in something he had no business in. Peter was very much surprised by this negative reaction, mainly because he did not see it that way at all. In his mind, he was doing something very noble, making an effort to save a defenseless and helpless creature. Back home, Peter started preparing the milk before even telling his wife, Bianca, that he had brought something home. She walked in on him, giving the animal the bottle, and was stunned by what she was witnessing. She did not have time to be shocked for too long, as she was forced to act quickly. Just behind her, their dog, Benjamin, also walked into the room. The moment he laid eyes on the creature in Peter's hand, he charged and started to bark as loud as he could. Bianca managed to grab him by the collar and pull him back. They had never seen their dog behave like this. Peter put the animal down for a second and helped Bianca get Benjamin into another room. Even with the door closed, the dog did not stop barking. They were both completely caught off guard by this behavior. Bianca herself was notorious for bringing in animals she found. What made this animal so different? With peace returned to the room, Bianca could finally take a closer look at the animal her husband had brought in. While Peter went back to giving it milk, the animal was drinking as much as possible and started to look better by the second. While Peter was still very sure that he was dealing with a puppy, Bianca was not so sure. Unlike the people at the pet store, she was actually very happy that Peter had brought it home and thought he might have saved the creature's life because of this. However, she just did not see a dog in it. She took a couple of pictures of it, and while Peter was making a place for the creature to spend the night, she took it upon herself to look online to find anything that resembled this strange-looking baby animal. She also knew that only the vet could give them an answer with confidence. She was happy that Peter had set up an appointment for the next day early in the morning. She did not want to wait long for answers. Even though the puppy had drunk a lot of milk and was doing a lot better by the looks of things, Peter was still afraid it might not make it through the night. He decided to stay up all night to keep an eye on the animal. Bianca was very surprised that her husband was willing to make such a sacrifice for an animal he had only found a couple of hours ago. She had never seen this side of him before. Luckily for Peter, the animal made it through the night without many problems. It woke up a couple of times, and Peter gave it one more bottle of milk. Bianca even came to him around 3 a.m. to keep watch over the animal so he could get some sleep. Bianca did not feel as strong a connection to the creature as Peter did, but she respected what he was doing and wanted to support him. She planned to join him at the vet's the next morning. When Peter woke up from his couple of hours of rest, the animal was still sleeping peacefully. The appointment with the vet was in about an hour, so they had to get ready. The couple only had a sizable cage for their own dog, which they used to transport the baby animal. They packed it with soft blankets to make it comfortable. However, the moment the cage door shut behind it, the creature woke and started to try and find a way out of its enclosure. When it found its attempts were in vain, it started making a lot of noise. When they arrived at the vet's office, they immediately drew the attention of everybody in the waiting room. At first, it was because of the noise the animal was making, but beyond that, it was the strange appearance of the creature that kept people looking and talking. Many were not shy in asking Peter and Bianca what kind of animal it was and how they had acquired it. The couple was more than happy to answer all these questions as they felt no reason to be secretive about it. After their answers, people in the room could not help but speculate on what the animal could be. Some people thought it might be a puppy, but most dismissed this possibility. It kept the room engaged in conversation so much that when the vet was ready to call in the next patient, he took notice of the commotion and went over to see what was happening. He was stunned by what he saw in the oversized cage. The vet announced to the room that some patients might have to wait a little longer because he needed to see this creature urgently. Peter and Bianca were called into his office right away, and not many people protested. If the vet saw an emergency, they had to respect that. The couple was a bit surprised. They liked not having to wait long, but they were also concerned that the vet felt the need to see them sooner than planned. Could there be something wrong with the animal? When they got into the office, the vet looked very nervous and impatient. He wanted them to put the cage on the table immediately and open it to get a better look at the animal. The vet studied it carefully and performed a few quick medical checks. Then he put the animal back in its cage and told the couple he needed to do some tests in another room, as he did not have the right equipment there. Peter and Bianca were very impatient for the vet to return, as they wanted to know what kind of animal they were dealing with. The anticipation was killing them and turning into frustration as the vet stayed away for a long time without giving any indication of when he would return. Peter, fed up with waiting, tried to go through the same door the vet had used to ask him what was taking so long. The door was locked, and the only way in and out of the office was the main entrance. When Peter opened the door, he was greeted by 2 police officers. He was taken aback, even more so when he was told that he and Bianca needed to wait in the office for the time being and remain patient while the situation was figured out. Peter demanded an explanation, but the officers refused to provide details other than that it had something to do with the baby animal. Peter returned to the office feeling defeated. All he had wanted to do was help a poor animal. But it was beginning to look like a big mistake. He knew he had done nothing wrong and was willing to stand his ground. Still, they had no idea what was happening when the officers asked the couple to come with them to the station for questioning. Peter and Bianca had no choice but to comply. The ride to the station was silent. Neither Peter nor Bianca spoke, fearing they might reveal something that could be used against them. At the station, they were placed in a room together and left alone for a while. They took the opportunity to discuss what could possibly be going on. They tried to figure out why the police were involved and why they were being treated like criminals. The only way to get clarity was to learn the identity of the animal. Soon, a police officer entered with a relaxed demeanor. He introduced himself and asked the couple to explain exactly how they had found the animal and what they had done with it before bringing it to the vet. Peter was completely transparent, sharing every detail. The officer listened and concluded that Peter and Bianca had no malicious intent and were simply trying to help. The couple was relieved to hear this, but became even more annoyed when it became clear they had been arrested for nothing. They demanded answers, and the officer finally provided them. The animal was not a puppy. It was a baby babirusa, a species neither Peter nor Bianca had ever heard of. The officer explained that babirusas are not native to this area, but are kept in a nearby zoo. Recently, a female babirusa had escaped from the zoo just days before giving birth. When she was recaptured, the baby was missing. The zoo had speculated that someone had stolen the female to get the baby. The police and animal professionals had been alerted to be on the lookout for the baby. However, the officer believed that the mother babirusa had escaped on her own to find a safe place to give birth. She was captured without her baby, but luckily, the animal was now reunited with its mother at the zoo, where it was receiving proper care. As an apology, the zoo strengthened its enclosure and gifted Peter and Bianca lifelong tickets to visit for free. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell so you never miss another unbelievable tale like this one.